I'm giving one of Minecraft's oldest structures an upgrade, creating custom stronghold designs that adapt to the biome they spawn in. Alongside all new builds, I'll be filling them with trial spawners, custom traps, and unique end portals, all so that following your Eyes of Ender remains new and exciting each and every time. Nearly all vanilla biome groups now have custom strongholds to spawn in them, including all forest biomes thanks to the update released alongside this video, which you can download at the link in the description. As I start planning what biome to tackle next, let's go back to the vanilla stronghold to reassess what features we're aiming to keep and what I want to add or change in order to keep every stronghold feeling truly special. One key feature that any speedrunner will tell you about is the starting staircase. This is where the stronghold structure actually starts, where the Eye of Ender points to, and from which all the rest of the stronghold branches out. Of course, the most important part of the stronghold is the end portal room, which always generates only and exactly once per stronghold, some number of steps away from that starting staircase. This is behavior that the vanilla stronghold is able to cheat to achieve by virtue of being an older hard-coded legacy structure, but we are able to replicate this pretty closely using custom jigsaw structures. Speedrunners use the starting staircase to begin their search for the end portal room, since they can generally navigate through the stronghold fairly reliably as they travel through the various pieces that they recognize on their way to the end portal room. This has become somewhat of a science, and so even though strongholds have complicated navigation, that navigation is also learnable, and so that's something that I try to replicate in my custom strongholds as well. Another goal that I have is to ensure that all of these strongholds are more than just a reskin, both of the vanilla stronghold as well as one another. The swamp stronghold here features wider hallways and a floor made of mud, along with walls of packed mud and mud bricks, and this is extremely different from many other strongholds that typically feature only 3 wide hallways and have much easier to navigate flooring. The swamp stronghold is also primarily made up of layers of mazes, whereas other strongholds might feature more traditional hallways or even interlocking rooms. And since I am taking the time to update the stronghold, it also makes sense to bring in lots of new mechanics, both vanilla and custom. This is exhibited most prominently by the introduction of trial spawners and trial vaults all throughout these strongholds, but also has several data pack features like custom traps or puzzles like this chest puzzle up here. Now that we understand what we're trying to create, let's head into a flat world and start building the first structures for the next biome stronghold, the Savanna Stronghold. Here are some of the first basic pieces that will make up the Savanna Stronghold, and as promised when you all voted on which biome should come next, the Savanna Stronghold is clearly steampunk themed. It took me a little while to come up with exactly how I wanted that steampunk theme to come through, but I'm really happy with the results, so let's take a look. Of course, we have our starting staircase. While this structure is fairly unassuming, it is probably the most important thing here because it is going to have that first jigsaw block from which all of the rest of the stronghold will branch out. We also have 2 tall spiral staircases that go down and exit to the left as well as to the right, and a straight downward staircase very similar to one you might find in the vanilla stronghold, though clearly much more decorated, and this is where a lot more of those steampunk elements come through with these sort of kind of pipes with trapdoors and these chains connecting these 2 copper bulbs. You'll notice that these chains are the new copper chain block, and I'm also taking advantage of the new copper torches, which I plan to use a lot throughout the stronghold. I have 4 variants of corridors so far, and this is the first instance in where we get to see the orange and yellow terracotta, which I plan to be a consistent motif throughout the stronghold. Pillars like these are found in Savanna villages, which is our only real kind of cultural touchstone of the Savanna biome that we can carry over into an otherwise completely non-wood structure. This is also where we can see that the floor is made of dripstone, and this is partly because the Savanna Stronghold is also going to be found in dripstone caves. Because dripstone caves, lush caves, and the deep dark are each only individual biomes and don't belong to larger biome groups like savannas or forests, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to make whole original singular strongholds for each of those cave biomes, nor does it make sense to have one stronghold that covers all of those cave biome types. So instead, I've added each of them to different biome groups. However, the other reason that I've selected dripstone for the floors in particular is because of the unique sounds that play when you walk along it. and that is a really important experience that I've only really started paying attention to in some of the last few Stronghold types. The sensation, the tactile and audio response that you get from walking on and traveling through the Stronghold. I'm going to build on that even more by using a processor to replace a random amount of this dripstone with packed mud, which also has some unique sounds when you walk on it, and that should create just a really great audio sensation as you're exploring the Savanna Stronghold. In addition to the regular corridor type, we have a more decorated type, a type that will have a spawner in the middle with this kind of room situation here, and then a bit of a prison design over here. Prisons and jail cells are one of the few memorable elements of the vanilla Stronghold, and so I've tried to incorporate jail cells like them in many of the other Stronghold types. However, so far I haven't actually incorporated them into any hallway designs, which makes a little bit more sense for where they're found in the vanilla Stronghold. This is the first time. However, the most important piece that we have so far is the small complex type. Complexes, if you're not already familiar, are my name for a type of structure piece that is intended to branch off into many other potential hallways, rooms, or other complexes to complicate that navigation on your way from the starting staircase to the inevitable portal room. Sometimes these complexes may be designed to look like one very large and intricate room, while other times they might appear as several interlocking rooms and hallways so as to make the player not feel like they're only traveling through a couple of rooms and instead traveling through many rooms and hallways as they search for other connections to the portal room. This small complex is one of those first designs. It has this very large, sort of kind of an atrium-like design. We're incorporating the copper lanterns as well as copper torches on these pillars once again, but we also have some copper bulbs built into the walls, in the ceiling here, as well as inside and under at the ends of these copper grate pipes that have some trapdoors on top of them. Inevitably, all these doorways in the small complex are going to branch into other complexes, rooms, or hallways, and itself is going to be filled with spawners, loot, and potentially other filler. All of that gets handled by the jigsaw blocks, which are kept separate from the structure itself over here. The reason I do this is mostly for personal preference, but it allows me to create multiple potential variants for how the various rooms are going to connect to one another without having to duplicate the entire structure every single time. Because in addition to being the main branches that the Stronghold takes advantage of, complexes are also the main way that I have the guaranteed portal room that connects directly to the starting staircase through several of these complexes. Anywhere you see a jigsaw block that has an emerald block beside it, that is a potential entrance into this particular complex variant. And anywhere that you see a diamond block next to a jigsaw block, that has the potential to either generate another main path complex, type 1 complex as I call them, or potentially the portal room. Which is to say, in order to guarantee that only in exactly one end portal room spawns, I have to make it so that exactly one jigsaw block in each main path complex has the potential to generate that end portal room, and none of the others do. But if it was the same doorway every single time that complex generated, that would be very boring. So that's why I have all these different variants that put the end portal connection, that main path connection, in a different spot. All these other jigsaw blocks that have things like gold, lapis, or redstone blocks are going to generate other complexes, side path complexes that will not lead to the end portal room, rooms themselves, or library rooms. All of which are going to get handled later. For now, let's head into a test world and see how the generation that we have so far ends up working. Alright, this is a pretty decent shape. I'm actually kind of surprised. We have our starting staircase right here, and it's taking us directly into one of these small complexes. We can see over here we have another small complex that has just a bunch of these doorways here because we don't have any rooms or anything for it to generate. We have another side path complex over there, but then we can tell that this complex is actually a main path complex because it is able to generate yet more complexes, specifically that one here, as well as a couple of corridors that trail all the way down to the bottom of the world. This giant chain of corridors and staircases isn't necessarily intentional, this is just where the end portal room is trying to spawn. In order to help try and guarantee that exactly one end portal room does generate, I have this template pool set to recursively try and place itself over and over again if there isn't any room, or if it can't find the thing that ultimately terminates it. Right now, since we don't have an end portal room built, it's just placing staircase after corridor after staircase until eventually it reaches the size limit and gives up. Let's jump into the starting staircase here and travel through these complexes and see if we can navigate our way to the portal room. You'll notice that the processor is replacing about 50, maybe 45% of the dripstone blocks with packed mud, and we also have a processor that's changing some of the copper blocks into exposed copper blocks, and that's true of the cut copper as well. They should even be, yes, some copper bulbs that are being put out by the processor as well. I believe it's this way to continue on the main path, but I've gotten myself a little bit turned around, so let's see if we ended up being correct. I think maybe this way. This looks like it's probably going to be that long chain of staircases. Yep, I think this is absolutely that. The fact that we have this long chain of staircases and corridors means that everything is working exactly as expected, both for the complexes overall and the end portal room generation. Now all we need is an end portal room for it to actually generate, so I think I'll get working on that next. So here's what I've got for the portal room. Definitely not the largest that I've ever made, but pretty big I would say, especially as far as the explorable area. Coming inside, we see that steampunk theming in full effect. We've got tons of these copper pipes all along the ceiling, lots of copper grates along the floor as well, which I think works really well. And the copper grate pipes even come through the ceiling and suspend over some of these end portal frames. The actual end portal made of bedrock is here at the back, which is very different from all of my previous strongholds where I've placed it mostly in the middle. You'll also notice it doesn't have a staircase or ladder to get up to it. I've instead made this platform able to be raised using these levers back here. The idea being that you'll stand on this platform and literally push yourself into the end once the portal has been spawned. Now, if you haven't seen my Biome Strongholds videos before, then you might be wondering how the heck this is supposed to be an end portal. End portal frames only spawn an actual end portal when they're placed in this specific configuration. So if the portal frame is made of bedrock and the end portal frame blocks are scattered around the room, how are we supposed to get an end portal? Well, because this is a data pack and because I want to update the stronghold both mechanically as well as visually, I use functions and commands to make this work. So even though normally placing Eyes of Ender in all these end portal frames would do absolutely nothing, I'll implement behavior later to make sure that when all these end portal frames have Eyes of Ender placed in them, it will spawn an end portal up here inside of this bedrock frame. We have 9 of the end portal frames down here on the floor, but then we also have these 2 doors on either side of this front room here that take you up some staircases and up into the sort of scaffolding up at the top of the room where there are 3 more end portal frames. I've also made sure that there's an end portal frame pretty much directly in front of the bedrock frame. That way, if you do want to specifically watch the end portal open, you can make sure that you place this Eye of Ender last. Unless, of course, it spawns with an Eye of Ender already inside of it, just like in vanilla strongholds. Once again, I'm able to replicate this behavior with processors to make it so that there's a 10% chance for each end portal frame to spawn with an Eye of Ender already inside. Now this is looking pretty cool, but I think I'd really like to up the danger element of this room. Normally I try to kind of obscure and block some of these end portal frames, and certainly we've done a little bit of that by hiding a few of them up here, but they're not really hidden, not in a way like the jungle stronghold that puts them all spread throughout a maze. So while it's been a little while, I think it's time to implement some new custom traps and fill this end portal room with them. These are the first trap designs that I've come up with, and I'm pretty happy with them, I'd say. This might look like a normal jukebox, but it's actually a blade trap. If a player walks over or in front of one of these blade trap jukeboxes, then it's going to spawn a copper sword item display that'll swing across the blade trap, play these particles, the sweep and crit particles, and of course the sound effects along with it, and deal, frankly, quite a bit of damage. I've given it a bit of a cooldown so it's not totally constant, but if you were to stand on top of a blade trap, of course ignoring that you get knocked off very easily, then you'd probably die in 3 or 4 swipes. Assuming you're not wearing any armor anyway. I have 3 different jigsaw structures that'll be used throughout the stronghold to place some assortment of them. These 3 will be embedded in a wall and protected by some copper trapdoors that you'll have to move or destroy in order to break the trap. And the same is true for these ones in the floor. Since there are so many of these traps on this structure, it is not protected by copper trapdoors, but some of these are going to get replaced by dripstone blocks using, once again, a processor. An important piece of feedback that I got from a lot of viewers when I first started implementing traps in these Biome strongholds was that players wanted to be able to use them themselves, to collect them and place them back in their own base, and so I've done the same and made sure that that's the case for these blade traps as well. If you mine one of these blade traps, then you'll get this item back that you can then place yourself, and it'll place a jukebox very similar to if you were to place an observer or a crafter. In fact, a crafter is exactly what this item is. The actual item that I'm holding here is a crafter block that is just using the item model for a jukebox. When you place the crafter, I do a raycast to see what direction the crafter is facing, then I replace it with a copper grate block, and then summon a jukebox item display over the top of it that is facing that same way, which is how we're able to get these sideways jukeboxes. Those item displays are then running the functions that are checking if an entity's in front of it, summoning that item display sword entity that is then dealing some damage. While through most of the stronghold these will be placed specifically by these jigsaw blocks as decorations throughout, I've put them directly into the end portal room in the places that I want them, specifically right here on the ground in front of a couple of these end portal frames, as well as up here in the walls on the scaffolding section, where they can very easily knock you off if you're not paying attention. This, I think, adds some really cool character to the Savanna Stronghold that even some of the other strongholds that featured traps didn't necessarily have, at least not in the same way. I think I definitely will want to add some more traps down the line, but I want to get a little bit further in the design of the stronghold first to help inform where and how those traps could be implemented. Before we move on to that though, let's make sure that the end portal room is generating correctly and that all of these traps actually work when they get loaded by the jigsaw structure. Alright, definitely a very different shaped stronghold, but I can already tell that we have the very obvious end portal room over there, and it even looks like the jukebox item displays are loaded in, so probably those traps are working just fine. We have our starting staircase here. Let's try and navigate over to that portal room and see if we can find some other traps throughout the stronghold. Oh wow, off the bat we already have some blade traps in the wall here, and if we get close, yep, they are spawning those swords. We can real quick switch to survival mode and see, yep, they're dealing about 7 damage, which is gonna be quite a bit unless you're wearing some armor. Yeah, that's gonna be a pretty easy 3 or 4 swipes to kill ya. Oof. We've got another wall trap over there as well. Let's keep moving through. There are generally going to be more of these wall traps throughout because there tend to be more places where those jigsaw blocks have been placed, pretty much anywhere where there happens to be some open space on the wall, but there is a pretty high chance that they get skipped, that nothing gets placed. I think about 66% or so. We can continue down through here. Obviously, I remember where we're going because we saw the stronghold from the outside. We can even see the end portal right over there. Got some more wall traps over here. Probably not going to get a lot of the floor traps in this complex because I don't think there's just a lot of floor for them. A lot of this space is taken up by what will eventually be spawner jigsaw blocks. Nevertheless, we can come into the portal room and just make sure that these floor ones on the ground are working as well. And we can even go up and see how easily we get knocked off by those ones on the scaffolding level. So yeah, if you're not paying any attention, you walk in here, oh, that's gonna knock you, in this case, thankfully, right onto this pipe. That actually ends up being some really convenient level design. But if you, for some reason, break this one and ignore those ones, they're for sure gonna be able to knock you right down to the floor. But that's really not very far. Even without armor, you should be able to survive that from full health. I feel pretty confident at this point moving on to building some larger complexes so that we can space this stronghold out even more than these small complexes are able to provide. If you're enjoying the video, please remember to like and subscribe for more custom structures, world gen, and data pack content. If you'd like to learn to make custom jigsaw structures yourself, check the link in the description for my very thorough written guide that I've made for Data Pack Hub, where I am an official helper. And as a reminder, the Biome Strongholds data pack, including the Forest Stronghold from the last video, is available for free with the link in the description. If you're excited to play with the Savanna Stronghold, please consider joining my Patreon to get early access. I've decided to return to my roots some and focus on just 3 sizes of complex: the small, this medium one, and one really large one. The medium and large ones really exemplify the idea that complexes shouldn't feel like just a single piece of the structure, like one room that you're traveling to on the way to the portal room. They should feel like many that are interlocking with hallways, a lot of verticality, so that you feel like the stronghold is much bigger than it actually might be. The medium complex has us starting with one small room down here in the middle that is surrounded by a couple of staircase-like hallways that lead up to smaller rooms up here in the 4 quadrants. There will be spawners and traps spread all throughout here, so it'll be pretty dangerous as you're exploring this lower section. But if you find your way to the staircase that takes you to the upper section of the medium complex, there will be a couple of other doorways that you could enter into this complex from or exit out into other ones. And this is made of 4 more circular rooms that are connected primarily by this staircase that has a central hallway traveling through and out that side. We're again trying to keep that steampunk theme alive by having a lot of these copper pipes breaking into these rooms in not necessarily logical ways, as well as situations like this that kind of look like it's protecting machinery or maybe like a fan or something, so that the stronghold generally feels more alive and mechanical beyond just being made of metal. The large complex takes the same idea and dials it up to 11. We have several doorways that lead into various rooms that have lots of space in them for spawners, traps, loot, and other decorations. You can go through smaller rooms like this that have different hallways. Sometimes there'll be staircases, either short or tall, like this one, to take you to other sections of the stronghold, as well as really long hallways like this to take you all the way across a different part of the complex. So lots, again, of interlocking rooms with hallways, all of which are going to be filled with all kinds of things, including some filler structures to help give these rooms a little bit more character alongside the spawners and stuff that we'll eventually make. Filler has looked a little bit different from stronghold to stronghold, and the Savanna Stronghold is no different. These represent some of the largest filler pieces I've ever made, and they have very different behavior, I would say, at least some of them do. This one for sure is almost entirely decoration. It's meant to look sort of like a small kind of reactor, I guess, very sci-fi, fantasy type deal. We've got some of these pillars again that have some copper lanterns on top that'll be kind of surrounding it, as well as some structure voids here on the ground, so that wherever this gets placed, it has a matching floor. There's a chest here that'll have a little bit of loot, but otherwise, nothing very special about this one. We have some vaults in this filler piece to go along with the trial spawners that we'll eventually add, and then we have this that I'm calling the shop filler. Alongside all the new copper blocks, we also recently got access to the much more important copper golem, and this is designed to kind of play with that a little bit more. You'll notice there's a pumpkin on top of this jigsaw block, and if we look inside of it, this jigsaw block is going to get replaced with waxed copper block once it gets placed. So obviously we don't have any jigsaw blocks left over in the structure. We have some shears in these acacia shelves so that players can shear this pumpkin and spawn a copper golem inside of this shop. Then on the floor we have a copper chest that is going to have a loot table for some treasure items, some loot that the copper golem will then sort into all of these chests along the side. All the chests are empty, so by sorting, it's really just kind of moving them from one chest to another so that the player can actually access them, since the copper chest is, theoretically, not accessible. Obviously, if the player jumps on top of these shelves, they can very easily reach it, or they could just break through the walls. And I don't want to do anything to, prevent that. This is purely for fun. If the players want to engage with it in the intended way, they can spawn a copper golem and have fun watching it fill all these chests with its various shop items that they can then take. But if not, no big deal. Just like with the small complex, all of the actual placements inside of these complexes are handled by this absolute mess of jigsaw blocks. It's way more complicated than is worth describing, but the general principle remains the same. All of the jigsaw blocks that are along the edges that have these green or red or diamond blocks represent the potential entrances or exits, main paths or side paths as you travel into and out of this complex. Whereas the whole mess inside is what is eventually going to spawn the trial spawners, loot, and most importantly right now, the filler. I've also created 2 new trap designs, or really 1 new trap and 2 new structures to place them with. These are of course spinning blades. Can you tell I've been playing a lot of Skyrim? The physical block is the chiseled copper right here. The lightning rod on top, as well as obviously the swords, are all item displays that are handling the actual behavior. As before, you can place the spinning blade block, which you might have been able to tell is actually an iron door that is using the chiseled copper item model, so that we can make sure that it is supported on the ground and has an air block above it. That's going to then get replaced by that chiseled copper block so that you can physically break the block and summon those item displays that handle all the behavior like this. Since I'm in creative, it just continuously tries to hurt me, but if I switch to survival mode, then we can see that we'll of course get knocked back whenever it tries to hit us. One of the designs that I have here has the block that actually supports it fully exposed, while the other one is much more guarded. It's embedded 1 block in the ground, has a bunch of trapdoors, and a copper grate protecting it. So you have to either open or break a copper trapdoor, then break the grate, then break the block that is the actual trap. And that'll drop the trap block for you to pick up. There wasn't a lot of room in the portal room for the spinning blade trap, so I've just placed the 1 protected one right here. There's going to be a spawner right here, which is of course another important facet of the end portal room that I try to keep consistent across all stronghold types. And with the loot back here, pretty much everywhere else that's going to have room for this is pretty occupied. But I think that's okay. This might be an instance where it's the thought that counts. These new complexes are pretty large and fairly complicated, so let's head back to that test world and make sure everything is working as intended. Oh, this is perfect. Way more spread out. We can already see the variety of complex types. Our starting staircase takes us into a large complex that is branching off into a couple of medium complexes, even another large complex over there. But we also have a small complex down here that is eventually leading into the portal room. Let's come walk around this large complex and try and spot some more of those traps, as well as, more importantly, the filler here. Got a wall trap right here. We've got a floor trap over here. So things are looking pretty good. Anywhere where there could be a filler though, there is of course a chance that there isn't one. And that's going to have the potential to then get filled by some spawners and loot and stuff. We do have a reactor filler over here. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, I think this just adds so much more character and again, mechanization to this room. Really helps to fit that steampunk idea. Even happens to work really well with these random pipes that we've incorporated throughout. It meshes with them thanks to the structure voids that we placed inside of the filler piece, so that this pipe ends up conveniently going up into the top of the reactor as if it's getting fed by it. Got a couple of wall traps over here. Ooh, quite a lot. This would be a very dangerous hallway to travel down if you couldn't access and break the trap blocks back here. We've got another reactor filler here with these pillars that I think work really well in this kind of depressed floor. I see we've got one of the longer blade traps on the ground here that's been partially replaced by dripstone. And of course, I hear also a spinning blade trap over here, so I'm glad that's working well. This is a very trapped hallway, but if we come past the spinning blade trap and this huge wall of wall blade traps, then we can come and see that we have a vault filler in this room now. Everything seems to be working pretty well so far. We're still getting that guaranteed end portal room down there, even with these much larger complexes, and all the traps that we've designed so far are generating and working correctly. While I do want to design the spawners and loot to help fill up these complexes and make them feel a little bit less empty, I think before I do that, I'm going to need to design some rooms to help inform what kinds of mobs the trial spawners ought to spawn. I've got a pretty good handful of different rooms here of several different sizes, so I'm just going to go and run through some of the highlights here. Of course, we do have 2 of these smaller rooms, one that has a guaranteed spawner and one that has some guaranteed loot thanks to some jigsaw blocks in the floor here, and there will also be a chance for traps. This will probably be one of the most common room types. It's going to have a guaranteed filler back here as well as a guaranteed spawner up front here. This will just help further blur the line between rooms that are part of a complex and rooms that are separate from those complexes. After having made so many strongholds, especially those that have trial spawners inside of them, I've learned that it is really important to have dedicated rooms that always have some vaults in them, even if vaults are going to be some of the random loot that can generate throughout the stronghold. This room is heavily trapped, featuring a guaranteed spinning blades trap, as well as several blade traps in the walls and floor around the grate here, under which we can find the somewhat secret chamber that has the ominous vault inside, and this also has several more traps to protect it. While making several of these rooms, especially the vault room, I realized that I wanted a wider variety of traps. Specifically, I was looking for something Steam related, since this is such a steampunk-themed dungeon. I already have a trap that works very similarly, the gas emitter trap here. So when you're standing nearby it, it projects this poison gas up from it, and if you stand on it, then you get the poison effect. It's found in the desert, jungle, and swamp strongholds, and it does work pretty well, but I don't feel like it quite fits the idea here. So I've come up with the fairly similar steam emitter block. This one doesn't require you to be on the ground. If you're standing near it, then you'll just see the steam coming up, but it's not going to do anything yet. And once you get on top of it, you're going to take a little bit of fire damage, though it's not going to set you on fire. And you'll also see, of course, it gives you some levitation. I think this is a pretty cool idea. It, in theory, is going to make you a little bit more susceptible to mobs' attacks, since it'll reduce your movement ability some, and also, of course, serves to deal you just a little bit of damage as well. Potentially more dangerous than the gas emitter trap, but I think it fits really well for the Savanna Stronghold. As you can see, I've placed some steam emitters here in the vault room along the sides here, and there were also some down in front of the ominous vault in the secret chamber there. This room may look like a standard spawner room since it's so small, but behind this trapdoor here is a lever that, when flicked inside of an actual Savanna Stronghold, so it's not going to work here, is going to open up this back wall as a secret door using functions, and that will take you into this larger pseudo treasure room. There will be a guaranteed spawner here, as well as several chances for loot. Unfortunately, I don't think I can make this door redstone based as much as I would like to, because certain redstone components, especially pistons, have some problems when they get placed as a structure template when they get generated, if they are powered. And of course, since we want the door to be closed, the pistons would have to start extended, or else be a really big complicated mess that probably just would end up not getting placed very often. I've designed this room to kind of expand on the idea of the shop filler piece, so we have a much more clear shop counter that you can kind of see behind. You can see some copper chests back there, but you can't actually reach them because they're partly blocked by these iron bars here. There is, however, a pumpkin that you can shear to once again get a copper golem to sort those copper chest contents into these empty chests here. Once again, of course, there's no reason that a player wouldn't be able to just break through and access the copper chest that way, and I don't think that's a problem. Again, this is mostly for fun. And the last room I'll show off is this steam maze back here. This is based on the noxious gas maze from the swamp stronghold and has the same kind of mechanic. We've got some of these steam emitters that are blocked by these copper grates down below, but they can still reach you through the copper grates, and it creates a sort of maze here that you have to carefully walk through, potentially while you're fighting some mobs, as you make your way to the back where there will be some guaranteed loot. I've also gone ahead and retroactively added some steam emitters to the reactor filler just to give it a little bit more character as you are getting near it. These are going to be pretty easy to avoid. Obviously, you don't need to be standing on this block to access the chest. It's mostly just to create that nice illusion and again character as you're exploring the stronghold. Of course, the steam emitters also need to be able to generate through other parts of the stronghold, so we once again have this smaller kind of guaranteed row of 3 like we do for the blade traps here. This one does not have the copper trapdoors on top of them, even though that would work just fine. And then this long one back here, once again, it's going to have a processor applied to it to replace some of these blocks with dripstone blocks, so it's not just a huge mass of the steam emitters. All of these traps are probably going to be fairly inconvenient if you're trying to just run through the stronghold very quickly. This will be a stronghold type that you'll definitely need to tread carefully through if you want to avoid all these traps, but if you do so, you'll be rewarded by being able to collect all of these traps. Now, none of these room designs are particularly large, so I'm pretty confident that they should be able to generate just fine from all the complexes without needing to test. So before our next foray into the flat world to test all the generation, I think it's time we implement some spawners and some loot. Much of the loot here remains the same as many of the previous strongholds. We've got a pile of gold, a chest, and some pods that'll have some loot in it, regular and ominous trial vaults, and then a special treasure loot chest that'll spawn anywhere that happens to be well protected, such as the library rooms. I have added a new loot type that'll be unique to the Savanna Stronghold, which I'm calling the puzzle chest. The idea is when a player approaches the chest in survival mode, then it's going to activate. It'll decide what item it's going to be locked with, in this case an ender pearl, using a loot table. The chest is locked so it can't be opened, and it happens to be empty as well, so if you choose to break it, you don't get anything. However, if you do unlock the chest, it doesn't consume the key, and it'll generate and fill up with some treasure loot. The list of items that can be used as keys is pretty small and ranges from the fairly rare ender pearls or diamonds, all the way down to copper ingots and bricks. The idea being that you should be able to open any puzzle chest using loot that you happen to find throughout the stronghold, but you may not have any physically on you and need to go and collect some before coming back. To go along with this, I've added another filler type that is specific to the puzzle chest, so it'll have a puzzle chest guaranteed inside of it, and we're making use of a bunch of these shelves that contain all the various items that could be used to open it, including specifically 1 diamond and exactly 1 ender pearl. Which means that this puzzle chest happens to be sort of a gimme if you take the time to go and search for the particular key that it wants. Not a very hard puzzle, but hopefully a fun one. Now though, let's talk about the mobs that I've selected to spawn from all these trial spawners. First up, we have what I'm calling the Steam Ghast. It's a very, very small ghast, and I've given it an item that has a new custom enchantment called Steaming. And once he gets mad at us, we'll see that these fireballs do not deal any world damage. I don't have mob griefing disabled, I've just made them have power 0. And in fact, they aren't dealing explosion damage in a very wide radius either. But if I do get directly hit by this fireball here, then not only am I going to take a little bit of damage, but I'm also going to get levitated up in the air a bit, as if I've been hit by a steam trap. The idea being that they're shooting steam at you rather than fireballs. This is going to be a bit of a weird trial spawner, partly because, of course, it is spawning gas, which is strange in its own right. You can kill them with the fireball still, even though they have explosion power of 0. And they do give you the advancements for both killing the ghast and specifically killing it with its own fireball. But frankly, I'm not very concerned about the advancement part. What is going to be a little bit inconvenient is that even though these ghasts are smaller, the trial spawner is still going to try and spawn them with enough space for a full-size ghast. Which means in particularly tight corridors or small rooms, it's going to actually have some difficulty spawning those ghasts. You might need to break some of the blocks in the area in order to get them to actually spawn. I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. In theory, there's going to be plenty of things already happening in the Stronghold that players will probably be pretty satisfied with the fact that they might get kind of a free spawner, so to speak, at least as far as it isn't going to immediately become hostile to them. But of course, if you did want to take the time and particularly get the loot out of it, then you would need to intentionally open up the area so that you can spawn and fight these ghasts. Next up, I have a bit of an evil one. This is a small spider. It's just a spider that happens to be small. This is, of course, going to make them a little bit harder to hit, but since we already have experience with this fighting silverfish and things, which can of course spawn from trial spawners in the trial chamber, I don't think it's too far out of the realm of what is fair, especially since spiders are generally going to be a little easier to fight than silverfish because although they are smaller, they still retain a similar attack reach distance. And that is pretty high for a spider. They aren't able to hit you from very far away, so you can keep them at bay pretty well. If you do decide to take part in an ominous trial, then these spawners will spawn small cave spiders instead of small regular spiders, which is kind of where that evil comes into play. On a similar note, during ominous trials, the ghasts here will have Steaming 2 on their enchanted item, which is going to set you on fire in addition to giving you some levitation, but not for very long. I've filled up my inventory with diamonds for this next one, and you'll see why as I spawn in this skeleton that has an enchanted copper sword. Oops, he's on fire. Okay, let's spawn a new one now that it's safe for him to come out. So this copper sword is enchanted with a new custom enchantment that I'm calling Pickpocket. Let's go ahead and switch to survival mode so he becomes hostile to us, and we'll see how that works. Oh, it looks like it decided to take my sword this time. Get hit again. Oh, I'm gonna die. Okay, let's see what he takes this time. Took one of my diamonds. All right, so the pickpocket enchantment, as you can tell, has a 50% chance to randomly select one of your 9 hotbar slots down here, and then if there's an item in that slot, drops it. Pickpocket 1 is that 50% chance that I mentioned, and then for each additional level, it adds 25% up to Pickpocket 3, which has a 100% chance to attempt to make you drop an item if it randomly selects a slot that actually has an item in it, which really makes the odds slightly less than 100% depending on how many items in your hotbar you have filled. This is definitely going to create a greater challenge for players, but I hope it's going to be fairly fun and fairly easy to tell exactly what's going on, especially if you're only fighting a couple of skeletons. As you get hit, you realize, oh, I dropped my sword, oh my gosh. But then you can simply go and pick it back up and continue the fight. It's going to be particularly challenging if you get mobbed by mobs, but that's why you need to tread carefully. The skeleton might have this enchantment, but I designed it for the boss spawner, so to speak, of the Savanna Stronghold in mind, the Copper Golem. As you can see, this Copper Golem has red particles around it to help indicate that it is hostile to me. I'm using a following mechanic very similar to the one that I used in my NPC arena video to make it follow the nearest player that it has line of sight with. If I go ahead and switch to survival mode, then we'll be able to see as well that as it runs towards me, oh, it is able to hit me and start dealing some damage. In addition to being able to attack you, this custom Copper Golem is also treated as though it has that pickpocket enchantment. So every time it hits you, it's going to have that chance to try and take one of your items if there's an item in that hotbar slot. This is mostly to be really, really fun. The Copper Golem makes total sense for a boss mob for this very steampunk type of stronghold, and it only really needed a little bit of help to actually make functional and hostile. Editing Cano here. As you're going to see from the playtest session, the Copper Golem's pickpocketing ended up being a little bit more powerful than I was planning on it to be. This is because, unlike the skeletons with their enchanted swords, the Copper Golem isn't actually the one dealing direct damage to you. I'm having to use a damage command to simulate it, and to that same vein, I'm having to simulate actually running the pickpocket function that the enchantment normally runs. I tried to develop this in such a way so that the Copper Golem could only attempt to pickpocket you each time it successfully hits you, but it ended up not working quite in that way. Rather, each time it hit you, it would put you on a bit of a cooldown, and during that cooldown, it could attempt to pickpocket you multiple times per hit, which isn't what I want. Since the Copper Golem spawner appears so frequently, and in fact is guaranteed in rooms like the portal room, I have toned this down quite a bit to kind of make up for the fact that it isn't using the actual enchantment to balance it out. So if you download this pack from my Patreon, or in the future, once the Savanna Stronghold is added to the public download, know the Copper Golems are not as powerful as they will appear later. Now that we've got some loot and some theme-appropriate mobs to fill the stronghold up, let's take a look and see how they generate both inside the new rooms, as well as inside the complexes that we've been working with so far. I'm already liking the extra shaping that the rooms are giving the entire stronghold. No longer do these complexes feel kind of boxy and separate from each other. We have just a lot more kind of integration between them because of the various rooms that get generated along their sort of internal hallways and such. Looks like our starting staircase has generated down here and happened to generate another room above it, which is pretty funny. So if you were to dig down to find the starting staircase from where your Eye of Ender pointed, you'll end up landing in a complex first instead. And I think that's totally fine, especially since this happens to be a Type 2 complex. Let's hop on down into the starting staircase and start to see the loot, as well as see if we can find any good rooms. So down here, I do see an ominous vault over here, as well as some pots serving as the loot for this particular room in the complex. We've also got a skeleton spawner back there and over here. Skeletons and spiders are going to be the most common trial spawners that you find, with ghasts pretty low and copper golems even lower than that, but the copper golems do have some guaranteed spawning locations. Let's continue on this way to where I think we should end up finding some rooms. We've got a little shop filler here, which is nice. I'd like to see the chest filler as well, the puzzle chest. Okay, this is one of the puzzle chest rooms. So if I actually switch to survival real quick, we can see it looks like we got, yep, another ender pearl key there. And this is a room that is designed around the puzzle chest specifically again. So there's no spawners in this one, but we do have, in this case, 2 different kinds of traps, which I think is kind of fun, protecting various loot chests or pots that you could potentially use to find the key to open this puzzle chest. Over here, we've got one of the generic filler rooms that happens to generate with one of the reactor filler pieces, as well as a copper golem spawner. Here we've got a steam maze room, and it happens to have a copper golem spawner in here as well. This is a good time to mention that I've made the copper golem specifically immune to all the traps, but all the ghasts, spiders, and skeletons can be hurt by any blade traps or steam traps that you happen to lure them into. Here we've got one of the vault rooms, so we could kind of simulate what a player's experience walking through here would be like. A player should be able to reach this block down here that's supporting the spinning blades without getting hit by them, so they'd be able to disengage that pretty easily. As these copper golems start spawning, then they'll need to be careful not to get too close to the walls over here and get hit by these blade traps, but they should be able to take them out relatively easily. Avoiding the blade traps on the walls isn't too bad outside of fighting the copper golem, so then you can simply walk over the spawner to avoid these steam traps and disengage these blade traps here to get access to the ominous chamber. You might hop over here and break these blade traps to get access to these trial vaults, and then you'd probably break the grate instead to safely get access to the ominous chamber without getting hit by these spinning blades. Break that, break these, break those, and get access to the ominous vault. Coming in here, it looks like we do have one of the puzzle chest fillers in the room that then connects to the end portal room, where I have added a bunch of steam traps underneath the grates that were already here. They're not quite everywhere. I didn't add any up here because I thought that would be just a little bit too mean. And then anywhere where the copper golem is obviously able to spawn, no steam traps are underneath these blocks, for example. This makes the end portal room basically the most trapped room in the entire stronghold, which I think makes plenty of sense. By the time you get here, you should have plenty of familiarity with these traps, so you'll be able to very easily and knowingly disengage all of these steam traps. Obviously, the spinning blade trap doesn't represent too much of an issue, and then you'll just have to keep an eye out for the blade traps that are up here to not knock you down. And, of course, since you can collect them all, that's already a great reward that you can take back to your base and use for a mob farm or to protect your base from players, whatever. It seems like we're getting a pretty solid variety of rooms as well, but there are still some rooms that we need to design, specifically the library rooms. Now, although I call these library rooms, historically, they don't necessarily need to be libraries. The general idea is that they are sort of replacing or filling in for the library room that you would find in the vanilla Stronghold, but mostly by virtue of being larger and more unique rooms that might have more interesting loot or some extra challenging puzzles, things like that. For some strongholds where it's made sense, I've made one of the room types an actual library, but for this one, I've decided that I don't think actually making it a real library makes much sense for the general theming of the stronghold. Nevertheless, the general idea is here. These are rooms that have more valuable loot, and they do contain the quote-unquote library loot chest, which is where you'll be able to find the eye armor trim template. This is the factory room. Players are able to enter either through this door up here or the doorway up here that is connected by the scaffolding to a staircase to take you down to the factory floor. Whichever doorway doesn't end up connecting to the complex that generates this room will just generate another room type. This is another room type that is, again, mostly just for fun and has a lot of aesthetic value to it in addition to actual gameplay value like loot and spawners. We of course have the conveyor belts that are carrying all of these empty chests, and at each of these kind of workspace stations, like the brewing stand, the campfire back here that looks kind of like a big old furnace, and the sort of library generator over here, we have a copper chest that has some loot inside. There's also a pumpkin beside each, so you can spawn a copper golem to unload and sort the items from the copper chest into the chests on the conveyor belt to kind of simulate a functioning factory floor. There is, again, obviously no need for this to actually loot those copper chests. It's purely for the fun and the aesthetic of it. Of course, there are going to be plenty of spawners, traps, and other loot in this room that you can collect on your own. This room sees the return of a puzzle that was introduced in the Jungle Stronghold, but dials it up to 11. We have a button back here that actually starts the puzzle, which will remove several of the chests throughout this room. All the chests that it's removing are empty, and it is keeping 4 empty chests, which become then part of the puzzle. All the rest of the shelves will still have other chests that have an assortment of loot, including library loot chests, as well as many pots, most of which are undecorated, but there are some of the decorated pots that actually have loot in them, like the villager ones, and of course, the trapped pots that have creepers on them. This is a really cool room type that I'm calling the Reactor Core, and it is, like the shop room, based on one of the filler pieces. We have a much bigger reactor here in the middle with some scaffolding up at the top that you can get to with the staircases on either side. It has the same kind of steam traps down here that are, again, mostly for the visuals and aren't intended to be an actual impediment. We've got some chances for loot and or traps down here on the ground, as well as a guaranteed copper golem spawner back here protecting this loot chest. There's a puzzle chest up here that'll get activated when you approach in survival mode, as well as another library loot chest. And then we have this kind of circular hallway around that's going to have some more trial spawners and traps. This large room is the sleeping quarters room, which is generally going to be pretty safe. It includes 4 beds, no trial spawners, but in this case is going to have a random filler piece, none of which actually represent any serious threat. We have a library loot chest back here, as well as several decorated pots, including, as I mentioned, the trap pot, which is going to pickpocket you as well. I always try to include a sleeping quarters room in the strongholds because I really like what the bedroom offers in the trial chamber as just a means to kind of set your spawn, regroup, store your loot potentially before you continue exploring that particular dungeon. Now that we have the large rooms, the Savanna Stronghold is technically complete, but there is one more feature that I want to add just to help make sure that we always have a guaranteed portal room. And that is the portal complex. So far, as we've been testing the generations in the other flat world, we haven't had any situations where an end portal did not spawn, but there is technically potential that that could happen, and there's no real easy way to completely eliminate that without really honing down the structural design of the entire stronghold and making it not as dynamic. However, to help with this and make that chance just as small as possible, many strongholds feature a portal complex, which is just a large complex like this one that has had part of it removed and replaced with an end portal room embedded directly inside. This has a chance to either spawn as the end portal room if there happens to be room for it, or as one of the complexes that would happen to be on the way to the end portal room, essentially making it just slightly closer to the starting staircase. But it does mean that you have to explore potentially the entire complex, not just for those doorways, but also for the connection that actually goes into the end portal room in case it happens to be the portal complex instead of the large complex. Instead, the portal room is connected to the rest of the complex by, if you were to come in through this potential entrance doorway, you would need to enter this room, come on down these stairs, come into this room, and that would take you to the portal room. So, not terribly hard to find, it's not like it's hidden, but you'll just have to check much more of the stronghold than you might have otherwise. While we're in here, let's take a look at how the end portal functionality actually behaves. To add to the gravitas of filling the end portal frames and spawning the end portal, whenever you fill one of the end portal frames with an Eye of Ender, it's going to start projecting these purple particles towards the bedrock frame. This is both to look really cool and also to help indicate that yes, you are doing things right, you did place the Eye of Ender in a functioning end portal frame, and this is where you need to look once you've filled all 12 of them. I'm going to break this trap because it's annoying me. This is what it might look like once you've filled 11 of the end portal frames, and so if we fill the last one down here and avoid the steam trap, then we'll see the end portal open with some extra particles. The purple particles stop projecting, all the marker entities that were on top of these end portal frames are gone so that they're not causing any kind of entity clutter, and we get the functioning end portal here in the bedrock frame. All of this works together to make the process of opening the end portal feel really worth it and just really awesome and fun and exciting, especially at the end of what is likely to be a very long journey through the stronghold. So let's get everything now into a test world and make sure the large rooms and the portal complex are working correctly and that they haven't broken anything else that we've developed so far. Compared to a lot of what we've been seeing, this is actually a pretty compact stronghold design. We've got a whole bunch of these medium complexes, what appears to be one large complex here, maybe two kind of beside each other, and a few small complexes maybe? Starting staircase is right here, but I don't see an immediate portal room, which I'm hoping means that this large complex is actually a portal complex. And based on this staircase, I think it probably is. Yeah, this is definitely a portal room. We can break on down in here and get inside. Yep, and the processor is working as well. So each of these end portal frames has a 10% chance to have an Eye of Ender already inside. We got quite lucky here and got a 2-eye. And we can come out of the portal room and walk around the complex and see if we can navigate our way kind of back the way we came back in the flat world, back in the building world, and see if it's still around the same way. So we come up here into this room, and if I walk out here, this is a corridor, which helps indicate to me, as someone who knows the pieces enough, that I've now exited the portal complex, or in this case, entered it. And if I continue along this corridor, then that might potentially take us back over to the starting staircase. But I'd have to be careful not to run into any wall traps like that. With how close together so many of these complexes are, it really goes to show the impact and importance of having a portal complex specifically, because otherwise it's entirely possible that there may not have been enough room for the portal to generate as one additional step after this complex. But since it's built into the complex that got generated as the second piece along the main path, we were able to guarantee it and still have a wide-reaching stronghold around and after it. I think at this point there is no question that the Savanna Stronghold is ready for playtesting. To help with that, I've invited back my friend Nice Name as well as newcomers Thaskalos and Ryan the Scion to play through the Stronghold together and see how they handle all these mobs, loot, and traps. Welcome Nice Name, and welcome newcomers Ryan and Thaskalos.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
Oh, hello. Yes.
So Nice, you've played through pretty much every Biome Stronghold so far, -1, but how do you two feel about the vanilla Stronghold?
Well, I've been recently getting into Minecraft speedrunning, and it's very frustrating. I don't like them very much, to be perfectly honest with you.
I built mine into a museum.
That's pretty cool. Well, this is going to be a very different experience than both of you are used to, but hopefully a really cool one. I've got some chests for you to get geared up so we can be prepared for the trials that await. So go ahead and get yourself all equipped.
Oh, and bundles. Oh my god, I've never used a bundle before.
All right. And then, Thaskalos, would you like the honor of throwing the Eye of Ender? See where we're going?
How do I do this?
Just right-click with it.
I did. Oh.
I was behind you.
Oh, okay. There we go. Can you tell I haven't done this?
You're just like, how do I do this? I'm like, you turned it into a museum. You had to have found it somehow.
I did, but I also knew where it was.
All right. X marks the spot, and I'll meet you guys down there.
See you soon. Wait, we don't have a shovel? That's fine.
You guys better jump in.
No, I'm going right by the side just in case there's lava directly below. Ooh, I found some copper. Wait, no, I should probably ignore that. I was like, I'm just gonna start digging into a wall over there. I feel like I shouldn't do that. It's made out of copper, and that's a lot of jukeboxes in the floor. What? Ah! Wait, did you hit me, or did I get hit by something invisible?
Did he touch it or?
Oh! Okay, they're not jukeboxes. Was that a sword? Yeah. Is that a copper sword?
We are in 1.21.10.
Bro, I'm used to being in 1.18.2. Why is it still hitting me? I'm off to the side of it. Let's try a little run and jump. Huh. See, you can get through easy. Tiny little cave spider. I don't think it's me. Something is. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm gonna let that go.
Really
I'm gonna back into the swords. Oh my god.
Do you think they get hit by the sword?
Oh,
Like
an apple.
one heart.
Whoa. Wait, what do I do with the ominous bottle?
Don't use it.
Okay.
Not just yet.
First challenge complete.
Oh god.
it gets you through the trap door.
Well, like, okay.
There you go.
I was gonna say, should we just destroy them? Or is there a secret way around? I feel like we're supposed to just break them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, they
When
are
you get down here, watch out.
blade traps.
Okay.
So, wait, can I place them back down? So can I do? Oh my god! Wait, so
Watch out for the ones on the walls.
you
Okay.
can place them back down.
There's so many spiders in here, you guys. Can I get some help? Ah!
That's quite a few. Oh my
own,
goodness.
Issues.
Oh no.
Shield is almost completely dead. I need to get out of there. You're also.
Wait, that's an ominous one.
Oh, I can put it on the wall.
Yeah, and it does.
And
It
then it
will
just
still
hits me.
attack you. Oh, so I have the spinning blades also. So we could use those for enemies, maybe.
I say, does it attack the enemies or does it just kill us more? Like, is it just gonna make the fight even harder? We doing a right turn always.
Hold on, I just put a trap
here,
on.
let's
See
see.
if it works.
Oh, it did.
Here, I have one
Right there.
Nice.
here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, do you guys want to go down or explore more?
Well, so there's a stairwell on the other side, but there's a spawner up that stairwell.
Do we just keep taking right turns only? Classic maze solver. Ah! Wait, what? Is that a steam trap? And a little bit of levitation? Steam emitter. I like these. Is this gonna... Ooh, we got some skeletons back here with copper weapons. Wait. Wait, when they're hitting us, I think we're dropping our things. Nice, you gotta pick up your sword again. Yeah, I think when they hit us, we drop our stuff. Oh, are you doing... Oh! All right.
What?
wait. Oh, bleed
Yes,
again!
noise.
Well, there goes my sword.
I'll see if I have it in a moment. Oh, and we get a little levitation. That's awesome.
What is this?
Yeah, still trying to spawn here.
Oh, a sparkly brick.
Daskalos has found something cool if you guys want to catch up.
No, sorry, I'm running ahead. There's a sparkly brick up there.
Ooh, so it's like a puzzle room or something.
I'm dealing with... No! There's evil copper golems. That's so sad. Yep. I'll be back up once I
I'm right here.
fend off these monsters. Oh, hello, nice. Oh! There's a gold or diamond sword over here, in case anybody was missing one.
Oh, yeah, I need one.
Oh, a giant brick. Chest is locked. Well, I tried.
The golem.
Ah! Ah! the golems scare me the most for some reason. I don't know why.
All right, my health is here. Oh, there's some golden apples down there.
Regular ender pearl. I got disorienting 1.
It's locked.
I have steaming 2. Enchanting.
Ooh. That'll probably
So
just
the
give us a
chest
little
is
like
locked.
lock to go up.
Does that mean I can just
Yeah.
mine it?
Did you just take the chest?
I did.
All right.
Hey, but there's nothing in it.
Okay. Keys don't work on locks anymore. All of my intuition is taken.
Could there be some other clue as to how to unlock it?
The way you say that makes me think the answer has to be yes.
Okay.
Let's see.
Hey.
Wait, what did you do?
So what do you guys want? You want
Did you just use?
steal?
Did you just use a copper ingot on it?
I used a brick because that's what it. That's what's floating above it.
Ah, okay.
Gotcha.
Wait.
Okay, so I'm gonna take the iron. Does anybody else have any iron? Because we can make an anvil and then try out some of the enchantments.
I do have some iron.
I have 9 iron. Here you go.
I've got
I don't know what steaming goes on.
I got disorienting.
I got a
Maybe a piece of armor.
music disc. That's something.
disoriented armor.
Steam emitter. How did I end up with a steam emitter?
I think I picked those up.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming it goes on maybe a bow is my last option.
So I'm assuming that's the gas projectile one. If
Yeah.
it's becoming more projectile-y.
Okay,
Is there
Ryan,
yes?
I'm gonna shoot you with this bow.
Oh,
See what
okay.
happens.
Here I am. Wait, here. Shoot me down here.
Yeah, put an apple on your head.
You didn't let me get the apple out. You also lit me on fire?
Well, it's steaming, I guess. What, you have an enchantment on your armor?
Yes, which is disorienting.
Behind you.
Did it just spawn a copper golem to kill me?
No, okay, so yeah, what do you have on your armor?
I have disorienting 1.
Okay, let me.
You feel it? You feel it, Mr. Krabs?
I think it's working. Oh wait, there.
You've disoriented yourself.
Oh, okay.
It spun me around.
We're going up these stairs. Yes, past this. Just hit the steam. It's really nice. It's like a little bath.
Right.
Skeleton down
I'm
here.
terrible at this. Like I can't hit anything.
Holy crap! Iron golems or copper golems are a menace. Oh! There is empty chest and
Is this a puzzle?
You have
Or is it
shears?
just flavor here.
Because I have no iron.
He's on there.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm making shears.
All right.
Look at
Hey,
that.
little buddy.
For the future, Ryan, if you are
Okay.
hovering over a bundle, you can use the
Yeah.
scroll wheel to select which item you're going to take out.
Okay. I wonder how
Ooh,
long
wow.
that would have genuinely taken me to
It
figure
took
out.
me a few months to figure out.
That's wild.
I got tears.
Oh, I've never listened to that one. I'm gonna see if I can put it in a sword trap on the floor.
Oh, the tears disc? Yeah, I got a couple of those too.
Dang it!
Oh, where's my bow?
There's not a silly oversight.
You know, I could drink one of these and have a lot of fun with you guys.
Oh, careful.
What, the ominous bottle?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll see what it does.
I don't want to see an ominous copper golem.
Right. Oh my gosh, someone did drink it. Oh, no.
Oh my God.
Why did you do
No.
Holy
No,
crap!
no.
That got
No.
dangerous so fast.
Oh my god.
Oh, there we go. I can move my bundle now.
Why'd I do that? Now they're flying up to me. Ah.
Regeneration? Okay.
Oh no.
I have somebody's pickaxe.
Probably
Okay,
mine.
I found the portal room.
Nice. I'm trying to
Okay.
just
See
like
where you're
make
at.
the area around me less deadly. Got
I'm
that
gonna hang out in this area.
Let's get rid of this. What even hit me? Oh, they can go through the grates on the ground.
So should we be putting Izander in these little portal blocks here?
Why am I dying?
Worth a shot.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm removing these steam traps.
Smart.
Oh,
How
How
many
many are
end
missing?
portal frames have you
I got
failed?
where's the missing?
There's one like, oh, there's one up top.
Where's up? Like, oh,
Up.
back there. Okay.
You got.
I can do
building
this. I have enough. I have enough health. Maybe I don't have enough health. No,
Oh my goodness.
Such a bad way to die.
I don't have it. I don't
I
have
got
a
you.
giant.
I got you. There you go.
Is that it?
Nope, there's one more up there. There we go. Nope, and one over there.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
I'm doing my part. Yay!
All right, guys, congratulations. How did that experience feel?
Oh, that was rough.
Yeah, frustrating.
But very fun.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. The copper golems are incredibly fun, but like an army of them is like pretty
Yeah, it's
hard,
so difficult.
especially
Yes.
with like all of us. Like the
Yeah,
number
this
of
stronghold
us,
in
like,
particular really demands very slow, careful progress.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It would be very cool if the copper golems would be affected by the traps, and you set up more like you try to funnel mobs like through like a thing that you've like purposely built up, you know, to kind of grind through like the mobs first. But
I was say
it was-
yeah,
it
the
was pretty
worst
cool.
one was the ominous room
Well,
because
yeah.
I got hit by 5 copper golems at the same time, and I had literally no recourse at that point.
Well, I mean, you drank an ominous bottle.
It's true.
All right, how about as far as improvements from the vanilla stronghold? Do we feel like this is more fun to explore than that at least?
Oh, the vanilla stronghold is trash. Like, there's nothing fun about it. It's just a maze that is very boring to get through. This at least has like things to do. Like, I'm fine with it being very difficult, and I should be more cautious about it. But like vanilla stronghold, you start walking around and you just get annoyed because you can't find the place you're looking for, and there's nothing to do the whole way.
All right, well, I think you guys have earned it. Go ahead and jump up into the end.
No,
We can steam up into the end.
I'm gonna use this lever.
If you've enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe for more custom structures, world gen, and data pack content. If you want to learn to make custom jigsaw structures like this one, check the link in the description for my very thorough written guide hosted by Datapack Hub. If you'd like to get early access to the Savanna Stronghold and take part in these NPC fights at the end of every video, please consider joining my Patreon. Congratulations to today's winner, Robin Pascaud, and thanks for watching!